which close our path to the Nibbana, which conceal our knowledge, so called the Nivarnas. So that is why they must be abandoned. So that is what we are talking about. They are called hindrances or Nivarnas in Pali because they can hinder, they can block, and they can cover, and they can conceal. That is why they are called Nivarnas in Pali. Here we have to understand the nature of the mind. The two different minds cannot arise at the same time, same moment. At one moment, one mind. One time, one mind can arise. So that is why, so if Nivarnas, any of the 5 Nivarnas are present, then at that time wholesome minds, consciousnesses, and mentalities have no chance to arise. Because we just mentioned that 2 different minds cannot arise at the same time. One time, one mind. So if hindrances, any of 5 hindrances are arising, then at that time, there is no chance to arise the wholesome mind or the good mind mentalities. Or simply we can say that if unwholesome mind is arising, then wholesome mind has no chance to arise. Similarly, if wholesome mind is arising, then unwholesome mind has no chance to arise. So that is why if hindrances are arising, then there is no chance to arise the good mind, wholesome mind, or similarly, even there is no chance to arise the sati, there is no chance to arise the samadhi, concentration, there is no chance to arise the wisdom. Hindrances are hindering, they hinder, they block, they do not give chance to arise the wholesome mind and mentalities. So that is why if hindrances are arising, at that time our mind is not clean, not pure, not cultured. And if our mind is not clean, pure, cultured, then how we could be dwelling in Ariyavasa? Cannot. So in order to dwell in Ariyavasa, we must dispel the hindrances. The another word Buddha used for nivarnas is upakilesa. Upa means closely, kilesa means those which impair the mind state, So nivarnas, the 5 hindrances, are those factors, those mental factors which closely impair our mind state. So that is why they are also called upakilesa. The word upa or the closely is used because while practicing meditation, these hindrances, they arise very frequently. They are very close to the meditators. Even sometimes unknowingly they arise. They arise and they hinder. They block our meditation practice. So that is why the upa, the closely, those hindrances which are very close to our mind state. So that is why Buddha used the upa also, very close to our mind state, especially, yeah, of course, in daily life also, they are close, but while practicing meditation, yogis frequently confront these hindrances. For example, while we are practicing meditation, sometimes unpleasant sensations, pains arise. We note them, but unknowingly, we may expect to disappear those unpleasant sensations and may expect for the good sensation, pleasant sensations. So we think that we are noting the unpleasant sensation, but in reality, we are noting also, but in other hand, unknowingly, the hindrance is also arising. The expecting for the good or the pleasing object is actually the kama, chanda, nivarna, the sensual desire. So in that way, very closely, very unknowingly, hindrances may arise. So that is why upakilesa. Expectation, the pain to disappear, is also the hindrance, and the expectation for the new, for the pleasing or the good sensation is also hindrance. So that is why when we are noting unpleasant sensations, we should not have any expectation to disappear the unpleasant sensations. We are not noting, we are not observing to disappear, to get rid of those unpleasant sensations. We are noting, we are observing the unpleasant sensation to know their natures. While we are observing the unpleasant sensation, if we do have the such kind of expectation, then unpleasant sensations hardly go away. It remains for long. It lasts long. So hardly disappear. So means because we are not progressing at that time, we are not being able to make progress at that time because of the hindrances. Because of the hindrances. Hindrances are not letting us to progress. They are blocking. So that is why when we are observing the pain, we should not have expectation to disappear or to get rid of. If we do have such expectation, unpleasant sensations, they hardly disappear or they hardly decrease, because at that time hindrances are blocking. Hindrances are not letting us to progress at that time. Similarly, when there are the pleasant sensations, delightful sensations, at that time we think we are noting, but at times we are delighting on pleasant sensations. The noting may not be very good at that time if we are delighting on those pleasant sensations. So we should not delight on the pleasant sensation. Our duty is to observe, to note whether the sensations are good, pleasant, or whether the sensations are bad, not pleasant. Our duty is to just note them and just to know them. So that is why hindrances are called upakilesa very closely. they can attack, they can hinder in our mind state. The another name Buddha used for hindrances, nivarnas, is panyaya dubbalikarana. Panyaya dubbalikarana. So means the mental factors which can weaken the knowledge, which can weaken the knowledge. Panyaya means, and panya means knowledge. Dubbalikarana means weakening factors. So hindrances are those which can weaken the knowledge. So how hindrances can weaken our knowledge means while practicing meditation, let's say we are knowing the natures of the object. It could be the individual nature, it could be the condition nature, or it could be the common nature. Or let's say we are seeing the arising and the passing away of the objects. While we are seeing the arising and passing away of the phenomena, at the time if the hindrance arise at that time, then the observation become muddy, the observation become cloudy, so it become dim and cannot see clearly the rising and the passing away. It is because the hindrances are making the knowledge weak. So that's why I cannot see clearly. So we can take an example. On the roads, we can see the slowdown. So when a car is running in a speed, like let's say 100 kilometers per hour, while the car is running in 100 kilometers per hour, if slowdown comes, then the car has to slow down. Car has to slow down the speed. So car cannot run in 100 kilometers per hour at that time when slowdown is there. So after crossing, they slow down. Then again, immediately, car cannot accelerate again immediately in 100 kilometers per hour. It takes a bit time. So even if the slowdown can weaken the speed, decrease the speed of the car, then just imagine if there are many slowdowns on the road, then can the car could run in 100 kilometers per hour? Cannot. Similarly, while our mind is free from hindrances, at that time knowledge can be very strong, very sharp, very keen. But if hindrances arise, or any of the hindrances arises, then at that time the knowledge cannot be very keen, very sharp at that time. If frequently the hindrances arise, then definitely cannot be so sharp, cannot be so keen and strong. So in that way, the hindrances weaken the knowledge. If hindrances are, when hindrances are not there, then we can observe, can see the objects very clearly, we can discover, we can discern. But at the same time, if hindrances arise, then our observation, the vision become blur, unclear. So in that way, the hindrances make our knowledge weaken. Like they become like a mist. Yesterday, the last day also we mentioned they are like a mist or the fog, which can make our vision unclear. So if the vision is unclear, then at that time our knowledge cannot be sharp enough. That is also why we should abandon the hindrances. We should not let them to arise, especially while we are practicing meditation. So we should abandon the hindrances. If we abandon the hindrances, then we dwell in Ariyavasa. Okay, this is the third Ariyavasa we are talking about. To abandon a monk abandons the 5 factors in order to dwell in Ariyavasa. So that's why the yogis, the listeners, in order to dwell in Ariyavasa, we also have to abandon the 5 hindrances. So now we will move on the another Ariyavasa. And the another Ariyavasa is to be endowed with the 6 factors. To be endowed with the 6 factors. So that is the another Ariyavasa. The 5 hindrances, they are to be abandoned. They must not be present. But now the another Ariyavasa that we are going to talk is we have to endow. They must be present. That is why being endowed with the 6 factors. So the 6 factors that we are going to talk is the factors that we have to fulfill, we have to be endowed of. Okay, the 6 factors to be endowed are number one is when we see the visual or when we see the visual or the vision, at that time we should not be neither we should be happy nor we should be sad. We should develop the equanimity with the presence of mindfulness. So here what the Buddha mentioned is when we see. So when we see, what do we see are the pleasant and the unpleasant objects. The visible object could be the pleasant or unpleasant. Either of those could be. So while we are observing the pleasant or the unpleasant object, the visual object, at that time, neither we should be happy nor we should be sad. And when we say neither we should be happy means we should not delight, we should not attach, we should not cling on those objects. If the object is unpleasant, should not be sad means we should not develop anger at that time. We should not hate, we should not dislike. what we should develop is equanimity, neither happy nor sad. Generally, we ordinary people, we delight on pleasant object. Whenever we see the pleasant object, mind delights on, mind enjoys, mind feel good. Then when it feels good, then clinging, then attaching, then greed arises. So means we should not let to delight on that object, pleasing object. We should not let the mind to cling. We should not let the mind to attach. For example, when we see our family members or when we see our friends, similarly, when we see the food that we like, when we see the clothes, which is quite good, we do like, similarly the sight and scenes, maybe the videos that we like are pleasing. As soon as we see, we delight on them, we enjoy, we feel good. Simply, we can say that we become happy. So that is why Buddha used the word happy, the being happy at that time. So why this delighting, liking, feeling happy, good feelings are arising at that time? Because we are not being able to note at that time. We are not knowing the flaws of the greed, attachment at that time. If we did know the flaws of the attachment, greed, then we would not delight and let the greed to arise. But generally, we are failing to do that. We are failing to know the true nature. We are failing to know the flaws of the greed, the bad consequences of the greed. So we just delight on those pleasant objects. Similarly, when we see the unpleasing object or the object that we don't like, then we become unhappy. Unhappiness is there at that time. Maybe it could be the enemy, the person that we don't like. It could be the sight and the scene which is not quite pleasurable, which is not quite fantastic, or maybe the clothes which we don't like, maybe the food. There are many things that we hate. So when we see, while seeing, we become unhappy. If it is the enemy, then anger immediately may arise. So generally, unpleasant objects cause to arise the unhappiness, and it may quickly turn into the anger. Anger is very possibly to arise at that time. It is also because we are not mindful at that time. Not only in daily life, but while we are practicing meditation, while we are in the retreat at that time also, when we see the pleasing object, if we are not mindful, it is tend to arise the happiness, the happy mind, delighting mind. If we see the unpleasant object, then at that time it is tend to arise the unhappy mind. So not only in daily life, in the retreat also, while we are not mindful, at that time also, happy, unhappy minds are about to arise. So what we need to do is, especially when we are practicing meditation, especially when we want to dwell in Ariyavasa, whenever we see, at that time we have to note seeing, or simply we can say that whenever we are looking something, we have to be mindful. If we have the protection of the mindfulness, at that time neither we will be happy nor we will be unhappy. Happiness, unhappiness has no chance to arise at that time. So I use the word happy and unhappy. So here the happiness, we have to understand this happiness is not the happiness that developed by the mindfulness concentration or by the wisdom. And this happiness that we are talking is about, which is associated with the impurities. So we can say good feelings which is associated with the attachment, clinging. So that kind of happiness we are talking. And because there are two kind of happiness with or good feelings when we delight on the pleasing objects. But by practicing meditation also the happiness develops. That is generally we call sukha. The genuine happiness develops. That is not what we are talking about here. So that's why we have to understand here happiness or the unhappiness or the good feeling or the bad feeling. Both are the mind states which are endowed with the impure mentalities. So we shouldn't be, we should not let to arise the good feeling also. We should not let to arise the bad feelings. And what we should let to arise is upekha in Pali. In English, it is equanimity. Neither happiness nor unhappiness, neither good feeling nor bad feeling. In order to not to arise good or bad feeling, what really needs is mindfulness. So that is why Buddha said at the same time, meanwhile, we should not let to arise good feelings, bad feelings, but equanimity by the help of the mindfulness. Mindfulness must be there. If we are mindful, then no chance to arise good feeling, bad feeling, but equanimity will be there. We will talk more about the development of the equanimity, how to develop equanimity by the presence of mindfulness. And Buddha also mentioned by the presence of comprehending knowledge. So we will discuss in detail in next time. For today, what we talk is to abandon the five hindrances. Now we have to abandon the five hindrances in order to dwell in Ariyavasa. Then after we started to talk about the another Ariyavasa, that is to be endowed with the six factors. And the first one is whenever we see, we should not let to arise good or bad feelings, but we have to develop the equanimity by the help of the mindfulness and the comprehensive knowledge. So that's why may you able to abandon the five hindrances in order to dwell Ariyavasa. And similarly, when you see something at that time by the help of mindfulness. Let be comprehensive knowledge at this moment, but mindfulness alone will be quite enough. So by the help of mindfulness, may you be able to not to arise the good or bad feelings and able to develop equanimity and be able to dwell in Ariyawasa. Okay, sharing merits.
Yes, Bante. Chúng ta cùng chia phước theo Ngài.
Idamme punyam
Idamme punyam
asavakkayavaham
asavakhayavaham
hotu.
hotu.
Idamme punyam
Idamme punyam
nibbanasa
nibbanasa
pachayo
pachayo
hotu.
hotu.
Imang no
Imang no
punya bhagang
punya bhagang
sabbasatanang
sabbasatanam
vibhazema
vibhazema
sabbe sata
sabbe sata
imang punya bhagang
imang punya bhagang
labedwa
labedwa
sukhita
sukhita
bhavantu.
bhavantu.
Sadhu, sadhu,
Sadhu, sadhu.
sadhu.
Thank you so much, Bante.
Okay, sadhu, sadhu, sadhu. May you be all always happy. Keep trying. See you tomorrow.
Yes, Bante.
Thank you so much, Bante.